Welcome to the show!
Are you lighting dumpsters on fire?
Last night was bad.
The whole plane smells like weed.
Those were the days.
It's a joke, you idiot.
He's like, oh, it was great. We used to live in the subway tunnels.
Good old innocent fun. Welcome back, everybody, to Troublemakers, the podcast where each week we bring on a guest and they tell crazy stories about their lives. I'm your host, Dylan Krasinski, coming to you from a beautiful day in Brooklyn. The sun is out, the windows are open, the candles are lit, and we're ready to have a good time. With me is...
Hold on, the sun is out and the candles are lit?
Well, yeah, the sun's out. You know what it is? The candle takes the smell away.
Romantic dinner at 3 p.m, is that?
Exactly. Oh, this is going to be a hot one, baby. I'm ready to go.
Dylan's already getting shit on. Rightfully so.
It's
Absolutely.
Fair. It's fair. I don't know why I got to change the intro because it just keeps getting me shit on. With me, as always, is my indispensable co-host, the very handsome and always enigmatic Mike T. Kerrigan, everybody.
Thank you. You're pushing it with the handsome stuff, but we'll let,
Two
we'll let it
episodes in a
fly.
row.
Yeah, don't forget to rate, review, subscribe. We're on everything: YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Get in there in the comments. Let us know what's going on.
And if you're listening on Spotify, specifically Spotify, Apple Podcasts, hey, take 2 seconds. Go down, hit that 5 stars, baby. Give us a little comment. It really helps push the pod, so we appreciate it. Just do it. Do it right now. Do it. Pause the episode. Go and do it. We love you. All right. You ready to get into it?
Yeah.
Okay. Our guest today, real excited to have him. I mean, very happy to have him here. Long Island native. I mean, this guy's been on everything. Letterman, Conan, The Tonight Show, Jimmy Fallon, our friend.
Colbert.
Oh,
my God, a fourfer.
Dude, the big four. Just like accounting. Guys, put your hands together. Sean Donnelly, everybody.
Yay.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Dude,
Yes,
thanks for
absolutely.
doing it.
So good to be here. I'm so glad the candles are lit for this very exciting podcast.
I know how
If you have lingerie underneath your shirt, I'm going to be really upset. If it gets way too romantic in here, I'm going to be.
Yeah, this kid's a big romance guy, too, which is...
I have a bustier on.
Fabio novels on the couch. Candles are lit. Let's do this.
Listen, I like to, get the smell going. It gets the steak smell out of the apartment.
Hey, that's a good call. But steak smell, I don't know. It's good when it sticks around for a couple of minutes, and then it just gets offensive. It's like weed smell on a couch.
Oh, yeah.
You ever when you're going out,
dude.
you're in high school, and then there's so much weed smoked in your friend's basement room that you get there, and you're like, this is just stale weed smell, and it's going to make me nauseous. Like, this isn't the fun, fresh weed smell. This is stale.
Dude, I had one of my best friends growing up. His house always smelled like barbecue sauce. And I never knew. I was always like, it always smells like barbecue sauce in here. And I realized after saying it how insulting that is to be like, your house always smells like barbecue sauce. And he's like, we don't eat barbecue sauce.
I wonder what that is, though. Did you ever find out what it was?
No idea. No idea.
Maybe were they near like a? You must have looked to see.
No,
if
he
they were near
lived
like,
right next door to me. And it
Oh my
always smelled
God.
like barbecue sauce. And it always smelled great.
You know what's even more insulting? And I tried tweeting this once or talking to people about it.
Yeah.
You ever run into somebody that smells like meat? That's somebody that kind of smells like pepperoni and you can't figure out why. And it's happened multiple times in my life where I'm like, you smell so much like meat, and like it'll be like a vegetarian. It'll be like somebody that doesn't even eat it. And I'm like, I can't say anything because it's the most insulting thing you can say.
Oh, yeah, that's
It's
not
brutal.
enough. There's no, like...
Yeah, it's almost like you smell like a dead preserved version of you. Eventually.
right.
Like, not even cooked meat. You smell like raw meat.
Like raw meat.
It's just like a salami stick.
I have met people who smell exactly like Italian subs. You know, that type of BO, but it's like, you're almost like, it almost makes me hungry. So I'm like, is it a sub or is that...
Yeah, have you making a stew before this? Like, what are you doing? Yeah, because that's also, you ever go to a restaurant? It happened to me yesterday. There's a place in Astoria that me and your pals go all the time called Hot Peppers. And I think they don't have a proper, if a place doesn't have proper exhaust, you walk out of that place smelling like one of the menu items.
I
Like,
hate it.
It's brutal.
I hate that. You got to change your clothes, take a shower. There was a Subway sandwich shop right near where I went to college. And dude, we would not go in. We stopped going in because you could tell. You'd come back from class and you'd be like, dude, did you guys go to Subway without me? Because
Yeah.
the whole place would smell. Your sweatshirt would smell like Subway. Dude.
And
not
Subway
good.
is such a distinct smell. It's that chemical. It's almost like if like an android opened up a deli. You know what I mean? Like it has like it's like, yeah, this is sandwiches, but it's like if a robot made a sandwich. It has that like very like there's chemicals involved in this making of the sandwich.
At this point, we're probably going to find out that like the real CEO is now AI. It's this AI like
Exactly.
monster.
Oh,
It's
dude,
a singularity.
You told me this. What were they doing with the bread? They were making it was like rubber.
Oh, it had the yoga mats. It was like the same
Did you
stuff.
know this?
I know, but it makes sense.
That's what put them that put them down big time. It was like maybe it was after the scandal with the guy. So they were making
the guy.
Yeah,
The,
they were
the
making
pedophile
bread.
didn't bring them down. The yoga mat material in the bread
The
really.
kid banging didn't do it. It was
And they only did it in the U.S. because we're the only country it's legal to like serve rubber as food.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well,
Yeah.
you know, it's interesting you say that because you're right. That was like the secondary scandal of Subway. That's it. Because nobody ever heard of it. Once the Jared thing happened, everybody's like, "Yeah, you're done," but they're still open.
Dude, I would still eat Subway today.
Nate
It's great.
McIntosh has a hilarious bit about it. Basically, this premise. He's like, if you were trying to bring down a place, how could you do it? He's like, well, let's make the mascot a pedophile. That'll do it. And they're like, no, not good enough. We're still going to eat here.
Well, you know what's crazy is Quiznos, which I actually thought was better.
Way better. Way better.
The only reason they closed, they opened up too many shops too fast. They grew too big too fast. But like you would think a pedophile would kind of like at least produce the
Even it
same
out.
result. You know what I mean?
Even it out.
But dude, you ever go to if you ever go, I do these clubs in Canada. One's comic strip, and there's like House of Comedies. They're called. This guy Rick Bronson owns them. And you'll stay at a condo there, but they're actually really nice condos. But you go to the supermarket. And first time I ever went shopping out there, I brought back the peanut butter and I opened it. I'm like, that doesn't look right. And what I meant was it doesn't have that sheen that like normal Skippy has in America. And it's because they have better rules for their food and they can't put as many preservatives. But I was like, I don't want to eat this. It looks like it's like dull at the time.
You're like, this tastes like shit. And it's like, what do you mean organic? It's like one ingredient. It's like peanuts.
Peanuts,
That's
oil,
it.
and butter. Yeah,
literally it. Peanuts. And you're like, this tastes like shit.
Did I ever tell you about this roommate I had?
No.
Guy, it was weird because he was super liberal in some ways, but like when it came to like eating, he was like 80s. He was like, you know, eat like hot dogs. So like one day he goes, yeah, I was eating fries or something the other day and I needed ketchup. So he goes in the fridge, he goes, all I seen was your organic shit. So I just said, forget it. I'm like, he wouldn't even try it because might be healthy.
Because they had the word organic.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not going to eat it.
Well, you know what's so funny is like the organic is it does taste better. If you ever had organic, the Annie stuff, it just tastes better.
Yeah.
But I know what he's doing because I'm from that generation. So it's like one of those things where you're like, oh, what is this? Low fat? You're thinking it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like
Low
no, they
fat's
just
trash.
Low fat's trash.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're thinking of the same logic as like you're not going to force me to be healthy. You're not going to do that. We're gonna eat. We're eating freedom. We're gonna have freedom for eating.
My favorite thing about the 80s diets is when women were just eating cottage cheese and they were like, it's healthy. And they're just like shoveling cottage cheese in their mouth. And it's like, look at us. It's like just dairy all day, every
They
day.
used to push mayonnaise a lot. I remember when I was a kid, it was like my aunt would always, she knew I didn't like it. So she thought she was the one who was going to get me into mayo. I was like, what was the game plan?
Would
like,
she sneak it on or
she'd
something?
sneak it on. I'd immediately flip out. I was like one of those people. And I'm like, why do you keep doing this? What do you think's in the, it's not even good for you.
You know what I picture?
Could you picture Mike freaking out?
The way he looks now, but like a shrunk down.
That's exactly how I looked. It's not even a joke.
No.
I never
Just
really
him like,
grew.
Auntie, what are you doing to me here? What's going on? I'm not going to eat the damn mayo, okay? Put it away.
Just
And get me a
balding in the
plastic
same
pickle.
way.
Oh, dude, I had mad hair. I had crazy hair.
Did you have crazy hair?
Yeah.
Well, I regret getting crew cuts as a kid because I lost my hair at like 30, whatever it was.
You
My
never had
mom
a chance
used to cut
really.
my hair till I was like 12 and butchered them you'd come into school, teacher'd almost say something. She'd be like, is something wrong at home? Like it's all not even, just all messed up.
They would call child services right now if they saw your hair as a
So
kid.
bad.
That's so funny.
Your his parents are straight from Ireland. So it's that whole...
Yeah, I could see it all over his face.
Oh,
it makes sense.
What were we going to say? Tell the story about the beach that we were going to tell. He went to the beach and took his shirt off.
Yeah.
And the people were sitting next to you.
The girl started arguing with her boyfriend about me, like, not wearing sunblock. And then basically she ended the whole thing. She goes, he shouldn't even be here. Like, just they're all like pointing to me.
Can you imagine
Imagine being
if you
so
were
Irish you get bounced from the beach.
You're so pale that you cause a couple next to you to have a fight.
Yeah.
You have a relationship argument and then be like, we're going home. I can't.
Imagine being so pale the sun banks off you and disturbs a couple.
It's like, you need to put sunscreen on. My eyes are killing me.
Listen, if you don't get powder out of here, we're breaking up.
Dude, you're looking at you. They're going snow blind.
I will probably at some point shave my head, and that's going to be
That'll be the powder
look.
time. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I just know that I have so many, like I got hit a lot in the head. So like I've never shaved my head. So there's probably all scars.
Do you think so?
I don't know.
You might be okay.
You've been hit in the head a lot?
like back in the day, rocks, different problems,
Different
falls.
sorts of bar fights. Did you drink as a kid, or did you drink?
I
now?
drank. I wasn't a bar fighter. I wasn't built for that.
I'm not really. I wasn't. I am built for it, I guess. But I did bar fights.
You still
Really?
you drink?
I still drank. I shouldn't. I'm too old.
I was impressed when I met you on your birthday, and it was like late in the night. You knew my name like immediately, and I was like, "How the hell does he know my name?" Some of my friends don't even really know my name.
Oh no, yeah. When I saw you, I was loaded. I just knew your name.
Yeah, that's why I was
Yeah,
like, I
yeah.
was so impressed by it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's because
how can he do
Because
that?
I'm used to being in that mental state. I could probably drive a car, no problem. That gets people into trouble. Oh no, yeah. I full on still. You know what it is? I made the mistake of I don't do beer anymore because I did intermittent fast and then started cutting stuff out. So I was like, oh, easy switch, whiskey. And then I almost like when a heroin user doesn't know they're not supposed to, they can't use their same amounts when they go back into heroin.
Yeah.
Is the same way that I was like, oh, I'm drinking too much whiskey. So I have to like chill with it. But
Kills me.
It gets me fast. Get drunk fast as anything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But dude, But I probably have. I don't know if I have scars on my head, but I've shaved my head for so long. I think I would know at this point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're probably good.
But
When did you start drinking?
I started late, actually.
Me too.
Did you? When did you start?
Like I was like 18, like the summer going into college.
I was kind of the same way,
Yeah.
and then I went to Manhattan College in the Bronx with a friend of mine who we're joking around about powder and all that. We call him Whitey and we call him Casper because he's like, and his mom is from. She was born in Ireland. And my friend Mike Regan, he'd be so upset if he heard me say this. Anyway, so I went with them, and they didn't really drink. So when I was at Manhattan College, I barely drank, maybe a little bit.
Okay.
And then when I got back to Long Island after not going back to Manhattan College, I really started my full-on. I went pro at that point.
Yeah.
Like I just full-on started boozing. So probably like 1920 is when I started, and then I've always been drinking. Yeah.
Yeah. Long Island will do that to you. Long Island will make you drink.
It totally will. It's a very, very...
For everybody.
It's
The
very
kids are drinking Smirnoffs.
drinking
Moms
by,
are
like-
drinking wine and Xanax.
The
by
kids
the
are drinking
pool.
by like 15, like 16. That's most places. I don't know about now. I'm wondering now. It's probably worse, right?
It's a little the game is it's different with the younger kids. Like it's we started young, like my group, but it wasn't like we weren't abnormal. I started in the city. It was in Boston at the time, not in the suburbs. But like we were 12.
Yeah.
My cousin,
So young.
my cousin was he
It's
must
like,
have
it's not
been
abnormal.
He must have been 11 or 10 because he's
Wow.
like in like but he was with us. So like now that I think about it, I would never. We
Never-
were drinking in a park with like teenagers. Like I wouldn't drink with 12-year-olds.
Yeah, didn't you say there was like one dude who was like 20 and he was like, I'll get beer for all of us?
Yeah, I remember being in a car at like 13 or 12. No, I think I was 12. And like we're going to the liquor store with this guy we used to like kick it with. Like
Yeah.
our whole crew was
You know what's crazy is I used to hang out in a liquor store, but it was not to drink. This guy Mike worked there, and I think he was like 23, but we thought he might as well have been 40. It was like one of those kind. But he would just let us go in there and just chat with him for like hours. Me and my friend Tom, when we were like probably like 11 or 12, maybe like 13ish, and then but that should have been. That's why I guess we're decent kids because we should have been like, we're going to steal a bottle of whiskey and try this out. And we just didn't do it for some reason because I didn't have a lot of drinking in my house. And then later on, like high school age, I would drink like Rolling Rocks, which is almost like the training wheels of drinking. You're just drinking like the alcoholic water.
Yeah.
And then from there, I started going to bars and drinking beers and stuff like that. And then the fights came later when you just get too drunk.
You were a fighter?
Dude,
a little
the
bit?
only fights I've really been in are when I was like loaded.
Oh, okay.
So
I want to hear some of these.
I only have a few different occurrences. It wasn't like a weekly thing. It wasn't a meathead thing. It was more. I was the kind of drunk where I was like, hey, it wasn't me that started it. Like it was like that kind of like I was that guy. The next day I'm like, but it wasn't me, and it usually wasn't. But I still like chased it down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm talking like. Probably too late. Probably from the ages of like 24 to like 29. Like it was. I was too old of a person to be doing it. And we had a bunch of them. A lot of them happened in Brooklyn when I lived in Williamsburg. And I would just booze all the time with my friends. And I'll tell you the one story once is when we had this place called Harefield Road, which is this great bar on Maspeth Avenue. And it was like New Year's Eve. And this night, I think we got into like 3 different fights. But this one...
New Year's Eve, that's tough.
This bar, exactly.
Yeah.
It was like amateur hour. Like it was like a shit show. And this bar had two giant like bay. I guess they'd still be called bay windows in a bar, so you can see right outside. Right. So we're inside. and everybody's loaded, and it's like, I don't know, man, like 12:30, whatever it is. Like the night's still going, and I look over, and some like big off the boat like concrete worker has my friend in like a headlock, like full on my friend Ken
the fuck out.
in a full on headlock, and I get like beer muscles immediately, and I'm like, what the hell? And I walk over and I just slap this dude in the back. And I'm saying this because it's stupid. I'm a stupid asshole. The guy was probably 6'3". The guy was probably 250 pounds at least, way bigger than I was. I was heavier than I am now, but I was probably 230 pounds. But I'm 5'8". I'm a weakling, whatever it is. But I'm like a drunk superhero, and I walk over because I think he just went after my friend. That's the drunk logic. Oh. I didn't start a fight. I'm like, I'm saving my friend.
Oh, right? Yeah.
So the guy turns around like a rock monster, turns around, picks me up by the neck up against the wall, puts me up against the wall, and just starts squeezing in. I couldn't breathe.
Holy shit.
I couldn't breathe. It took 4 guys to rip this guy off of me.
Oh my
They push him in the corner.
God.
They end up kicking him out. I sober up immediately. I'm like, and I'm like, what the hell happened? Everybody's like, are you okay? I almost died. It was like that kind of thing.
Shit.
They pushed this guy outside. This dude is pacing back and forth outside the bar, like a lion, like a full-on lion that's caged, and they won't let him. They're like, don't worry, he does this all the time. And I'm like, I don't think they know that I slapped him in the back of the head. So I'm like, really sober, and at this point I'm going, should I go apologize? I'm like Mr. Furley from Three's Company. Like, oh, maybe I should go say something. They're like, do not go outside. You have to wait till he's gone. Do not go outside. And I was like, all right. So we waited in there, and then at the end of the night, I find out the reason that this guy had my friend in a headlock is because 30 seconds before that, my friend, who was also off his ass, walked up to him and just punched him in the face.
Stop, dude.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
So from this guy's perspective, he's just getting attacked by these 25-year-old idiots on New Year's Eve, and he's probably loaded.
Dude.
So I felt really terrible at that point. That was later on. That was way later on.
That's so funny. Holy shit. I never, you know what? I never encouraged people. I was always that person. I would never really fight, but I would always antagonize people, but I would in a joking way. Yeah. And then people would be like, they would want to fight. I'd be like, whoa, I'm joking, dude. I'm joking. I would put my fingers in someone's drink, just loaded, so obnoxious. I should get punched in the face for that.
Internet troll in real life.
I would be like, ooh, that tastes good, and they would be like, what the? And I'd be like, whoa, why are you getting so mad?
You mean
man?
a stranger?
Yeah, maybe I'm joking with someone,
dude.
and I would do insane stuff.
Drunk me would have threw the glass at you.
Yeah, I would do stuff like that, and never got really hit for it. I've been in maybe 2 fights that were barely fights, But
it was always things that I was in my head, I was like, no, I was helping out a friend, or no, this guy started it. There was another one that happened where this place called Max Fish. It was on the Lower East Side, and we were there once. And this was a really silly one, and I was I had an old. I guess I was very insecure. I had an old Navy shirt that had those Hawaiian flowers on it. And they're called hibiscus, I guess.
A great shirt, dude.
It was a great shirt.
Great shirt.
Especially for 2001.
I've had them.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
I think I still have it at my parents' house.
It was a back-to-school outfit. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
So I'm fairly drunk, and I'm online. And this doesn't even end up in a fight. It just ends up me trying to be a tough guy or whatever. And I'm online to the bathroom, and I overhear this hipster dude in front of me. He's like, oh, this dude has hibiscus on his shirt. And it infuriated me because I didn't know the name of the flower. And I'm like, you calling me stupid? In my head, I'm like, this guy thinks I'm dumb. So
this is such a brilliant way to insult someone. Look at this fucking idiot with his hibiscus.
So he says it out of reach of me, and he's like, it's supposed to be not for me to hear. He's not trying to start anything. And I'm like, I wasn't scared of this guy, so I go, what'd you say about my shirt? What'd you say about my shirt? And he goes, nothing, man, relax. And I go, no, tell me what you said about my shirt. Oh. And I would not, dude. It was annoying. I would not let it go. I was there for 20 minutes. And I just wanted to have something over this guy, because I'm like, you're making fun of the shirt I just got that I like, son of a bitch, from Old Navy for $12. So I'm going, no, dude. tell me what. I go, I'm not going to fight you. I promise you I won't hit you as long as you tell me what you said about my shirt. I go, I even heard you. I just don't want you to be a pussy. Just tell me what you said about my shirt. And finally his girlfriend comes over. She goes, listen, dude, take it easy. Relax. Get out of here. I go, now your girlfriend's defending you? Tell me what you said. Like, I go, I don't want to fight you. Just tell me what you said. And I got into it. And then my friends came over and pulled me away. But it wasn't, but I was like, I'm not a fighter. That's what I mean. Like, I won't go into a fight unless I'm hit like that.
Yeah.
Kind of, you know what I mean?
That's a very reasonable response, too. I think that's totally normal.
I knew.
Guys being an asshole, and then someone is challenging him.
I knew I took it to an irrational point. Like, I knew that I took it to, like, but I wanted it to be ridiculous because I'm like, there's consequences in life, and you got caught. So, and you won't even admit it. You could have been a good person and say, hey, dude, sorry, I made fun of your shirt. All right, have a good day. And I would have walked away, like, into the sunset. Candles lit, the sun's out. Just
dude. I bring him over here. We'll put him on the pod. It'll be great.
So I'm not the go-to. I'm starting fights, but like I'll start an argument for some stupid drunk reason. Sure.
Oh yeah. That's I was never a I would never fight, but I would definitely. My tough guy phase thankfully ended after college. I had like a run because I played rugby, and I was friends with all these guys who would fight, like throw people through windows, and I was always like, that's the coolest. And now I'm like, what a lunatic. Dude.
Yeah, and it's also like in your 20s, it's like you kind of get it. You're learning. It's baby steps on your drinking, and But if you're getting to fights now, like I got punched in the face recently.
Are you serious?
Yeah. It was really late at night. I was coming out of the Comedy Cellar Christmas party. It was probably 4:30 in the morning. And I walk outside, and either just like this dude that lives nearby or homeless dude is on the street, and he's bugging me for money, and I'm waiting on my Uber. And I'm like, I was probably a little bit short because I was exhausted. I was loaded. And the guy's like, come on, man. And he's like real close. And I must have been like, no. I'm brushing him off. And I was being rude because I was like, I just want to get out of here. Yeah. Also, I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought maybe he was going to try to shake me down.
Sure.
So I go, no. And I was like, I must have said something wrong to him. I actually forget what happened for this to happen. And then he cocks back and just punches me, right hooks me. And I was so drunk, all I could think was, you didn't knock me down. I was fine. Like, but here's the thing. This is the difference. I didn't go after him. My Uber pulled up, and I just smiled, and I walked in the Uber, and I left. But I was my drunken logic was, I'm happy the guy didn't. Like De Niro in Raging Bull.
It's
like, you never knocked me down, Ray. You ever watched Raging Bull?
That's a win.
It's a win.
Yeah, that's a win.
It's a win.
That's a win. Dude, that's great. Have you been in fights?
Yeah.
No, we talked about this.
Yeah, I've been in fights. Not a ton.
Not a big fighter.
No, I'm trying to think. Like I probably did in school. Like 8th grade, around that time, I got in a couple fights. Then drinking, I was a blackout. Like I would never. I generally wouldn't start fights, but then, like I said, I was a black. Sometimes I would.
Yeah.
Just because I was
you're drunk
totally.
yeah.
When I was black, it's like, dude, I'm not a threat. That was the thing.
Mike's brand of drinking and blacking out was just creating chaos. Not necessarily fighting, but chaos.
I did
right?
like chaos drinking, but yeah, I wouldn't be a threat to anyone drunk because I'm not big and I'm done. I'm done drunk. You know what I mean?
Like I'm passed out. I'm like,
yeah, I'm totally. If I'm starting to fight, I'm generally totally blacked out. Maybe like you could just literally just push me over.
It's like a different person.
So I got jumped a couple times like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and I was like real mad for years. But then I think I was just mad at myself. I'm like, yeah, when you sober up, you're like, yeah, you had your guard totally down. Like you're lucky you weren't even worse. Like one time I did get jumped for money. It was New Year's or something, one of those shitty holidays. But I wasn't blacked out. I think I was on drugs. So I was alert, and I fought back. And I got everything. I got my money back. But then when I sobered up from that, I'm like, that really wasn't worth. There was 6 of those. You shouldn't have fought back like that.
You shouldn't be alive. Like it's like that. Like, oh, they had anything they could have.
They weren't professional. You know what I mean? I was like, if they were a little better at what they did, I would have been in a lot of trouble.
I know 2 different people, comics, that were on the subway, and they were blacked out. They were actually passed out on the subway.
Oh, that's so bad.
And they had the thing. It was a thing that people were doing. Somebody has a razor blade.
Yeah.
They slit a
cut
hole
your
into their
pockets.
pocket, and they took their wallet out of their pocket.
That's an old
so
term.
bad.
That's where that phrase comes in. Yeah, I cut their pockets.
Is that a phrase?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh,
didn't know
it's
it either.
I haven't heard anyone doing, like, that's the old time thing. I don't know why they were cutting pockets in the back, but they're doing
Back
it
in the
still.
day.
Yeah.
I cut your pockets. Hey, scram, kid, or I'll cut your pockets.
I always think about pickpocketing.
All right, hey, CZ.
I used to think about it, and I'm like, there's no way I'd be, if I had to try to pickpocket, I'd be the guy who's like yanking, like I'd have to hold your shoulder.
You go, hold still. You
Yeah.
tell the guy, hold still.
Like you just, I don't know how they, because sometimes I can't get my wallet out of my own pants.
No, it's a nightmare.
Well, dude, my buddy Randy years ago was on the subway and on the one train, and he purposely would he had his wallet in his back pocket. I don't know why he just didn't move it to his front pocket, but that's what I do. I have my wallet in my front pocket. But he would hold his hand on his pocket
For all
while
the
he was in the
muggers
subway.
listening.
Yeah, exactly.
Sean keeps his wallet in his front pocket, folks.
If you like $37.50, shake me down. And he would hold his hand on his back pocket, and he said one time there was like a rock in the train. He had to move to balance himself. He took his hand off. He said for literally 1 second and put it back on, and his wallet was gone.
Holy
nuts,
shit!
dude.
It was it's crazy.
That's crazy. That's why I keep everything in my backpack. Which I'm horrified that my backpack's going to get stolen because I keep my keys there, my headphones, my wallet, a book.
Yeah, I think front pocket is the move because I think it's harder to.
Yeah.
I'm sure it can happen, but it's harder to. You're going to know if somebody's on your front.
Have you ever been robbed or jumped?
No, I was almost robbed once. I used to live on Kingsland Avenue, and in Brooklyn, Bushwick, which used to be Bushwick, and then it became East Williamsburg, and then it became Williamsburg. They just kept moving the line. The higher the rents went, they just kept moving the line. And me and my buddies moved. Put it this way: the area was across the street from a halfway house and like and a mental hospital or whatever it was. And we were
Good
there.
neighbors.
3 days. Yeah, 3 days into us being there. We were outside to give you an idea of the neighborhood. We're outside and like the super of the building was like sweeping up and a regular New York taxi drives by and she goes, huh? And we go, what? And she goes, oh, a year ago, a yellow taxi never would have driven down this block. We're like, great, we just moved in. Awesome. And there used to be, put it this way, my intersection right there was, I don't know if you remember this story when Gawker was a thing.
Yeah.
They busted this drug corner on my corner that this rim shop was selling like drugs out of it. And the reason it became a story is because the Google Maps car caught a drug deal going down mid-drug deal. Like they were passing it. Yeah. So that was literally 200 feet from my house.
Holy shit.
So it was that kind of neighborhood. And one time I was there, I'm walking home and I make the left onto my block and I had about 4 houses to go. And I walk down and these 2 dudes are talking and I thought it was normal, but they both looked at me at once. And then the one guy goes, all right, man, let me get out of here. And I'm like, that was too abrupt of an ending.
Yeah.
They saw me and they're like, this guy's a mark. Let's do this. Mm-hmm. And then I only had a couple of houses to go. So I could hear the guy walking. faster and faster. And then I kind of like book it up into my house and I look behind me and the guy is he's like side-eyeing me out of it. Like he was full on going to grab my stuff. But it didn't happen.
Dude, that's terrifying. That happened to me here in this neighborhood a couple weeks ago. I've never had a problem here. One night I was walking home and I had to walk through these 2 dudes and they're like talking to each other and I had to like walk through them because they're on opposite sides of the sidewalk. And listen, some people will just walk through with their head down. Like I like looked at them and like gave them like a how's it going kind of nod, whatever. And this guy goes, why the fuck are you looking at me?
Right.
And I was like, all right.
It's like, yeah.
And I just walked by. He goes, and then he's talking in the back of my head. And he's like, dude, unless you're going to give me something, don't fucking look at me. And I'm like, this kid's like 25. Yeah. And I'm like, what are we doing, dude?
So you're just
What's
ignoring
going on?
him. You're ignoring him.
I just ignored him and then, dude, I thought he was going to follow me. So I kept like looking behind me. This was also right after. Nothing happened. I ended up going, this is right after. I think I told you this. I had an altercation on the train. As I get off the train, like 2 minutes before I see these guys, I get off the train, the next car over, there's all these like young kids, like 12, 13, 14-year-olds, like at like midnight on the train, good parenting. And they're sitting there and I walk off with my backpack. So my backpack's like pulling my shirt tight. And this like fucking 13-year-old kid looks at me and looks at like my profile and he goes, hey man. And I was like, I look and he goes, you better take care of them titties.
Cut to the bone.
I'd rather get mugged.
And literally,
that happen.
dude, I literally watched the doors close and this kid was like, fuck fuck you. And I was just like, you son of a bitch.
Oh.
Dude, I thought about that, and then I walked out of the station right in between these two guys, and the guy goes, why the fuck are you looking at me? I'm like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, it was like a full moon.
Dude.
The other thing is, you can't even. It's so funny. I had a moment. I want to tell you another
Horrible.
mugging thing, maybe that is entertaining. But, dude, the reason I'm laughing. First off, that's a great line. But here's the
It's
thing.
a classic 13-year-old kid, cuts you fucking right to your core.
I've been there where it was Halloween, like you said, one of those shitty going out holidays before, and I'm trying to get like it was the days of gypsy cabs. It was like with the black cars.
Yeah.
So the taxis are driving by, gypsy cabs are driving by, and I'm going, go on, and the gypsy cab pulls over. He goes, where are you going? I go, Brooklyn. He goes, no, and I go, and it was like the 15th car, and I go, fuck you, and I fucking kick the tire. I go, fuck you, and then he drives 10 feet, stops the car, sticks his head out the window, goes, fuck you, you fat fuck.
Oh, man.
And I was like, oh.
Dude, it really is true. You can really cut someone. You just call someone meanly, just being like, what's up, you fat piece of shit?
Oh,
and then
it
just
works
like,
every time.
God damn it, dude.
It's a very skilled bad guy to just go to your core. You know?
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
that's a back in the day New York thing. He just mentioned it is before I moved here, but they wouldn't go to Brooklyn a lot. Someone told me that. They go back in the day, like they wouldn't go like to where I lived in Bed-Stuy. They'd be like, I remember being in a cab or an Uber. He's like, I would never back in the day do this. I'm like, how would you get home if you're stuck?
Do you want to hear a story about that?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're exactly right. That's why the guy was like, no, I'm not going. That's why I was also a doorman for a while, and they would always come by off duty and try to grab the rides. And if it was going to the airport, they'd go, no, and you'd miss like 3 on-duty taxis. So I have sympathy for good people, but not for taxis overall. I have no sympathy.
hate taxis.
Yeah, me neither.
Hate them.
So here's the thing. I'm somewhere. I think I'm at No. This is even before. I'm living in like Park Slope area. I am in Manhattan, like out with friends. I go to the guy. I tell the guy. This is why it's so bad. I go, I'm going to Brooklyn. You good with that? And he goes, yeah, because he really did have to say it. And he goes, yeah, no problem. He takes me to the Manhattan side of the Manhattan Bridge, and he goes, okay, that's it. I go home, and I went, no. You said you would go to Brooklyn, and he goes, no, that's it. It's too long. I go home, and I go, no. Take me to Brooklyn. He goes, no. And I go, I'll call the cops. He goes, go ahead, call the cops. And I'm like, I actually think I dialed the cops. And I hung up because I was like, they're not going to show up for this. So I'm sitting there going, what do I do? He goes, get out. And I'm like, I know what I'll do. I get out of the car and I open all the doors of the taxi. I open my door. I open the other side. I open the passenger. I open his door. It worked like gangbusters. He freaks because what's happening, you're at the light right before the bridge.
Yeah.
All this traffic is coming down. It was almost out of a movie. All the traffic's coming down from the next light and he can't get out. And he goes, close the doors. I go, no. He goes, you have to pay me. Close the doors. I go, no. And he goes, I'll call the cops. I go, go ahead, call the cops. I'm like, fuck you. I'm like, it infuriated me.
Yo, that is so funny.
Be a person of your word. Be a man of your word.
I hate that. Dude, that happened to me once in Boston. The Boston cabs were the fucking worst.
They're trash, dude.
Dude, they would always do the thing. They would be like, "Oh, sorry, no cash, my or only cash. My machine's broken."
Yeah,
and
they
I
do
go,
that here too.
"Well, I don't have cash." And they'd be like, "Okay, I'll take you to the ATM." I go, "No, I don't have I'm not going to do that." And then they would be like, "Okay, it's working."
You'd already
it's
be
working.
in the car?
Yeah, it would be like you get to your spot.
Oh, yeah.
So I would be a dick always, like if I had cash and they would be like, only cash, I would like pay them exact change. And I was such a cunt to them. But I would like ask for, if it was like $17, $12, I would be like, give them $18. And I would be like, where's my coinage? Where's my coins?
Because you knew it was a scam.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing. That's what you get, though, for being...
They were so mad.
And I get it. It's a surcharge. But back then, what you're talking about is like cabs had it. They had it the rule of the roost, man.
Yeah.
Like they were making money. Granted, there's a lot of devastating stories that happened with Uber, and Uber did really, really screw them over. But, and for good people, that sucks. But like, there's so many scammers. That's why people flock to Uber.
Yeah, because they were the worst. They had a monopoly on it, and they could treat you like shit. That one time I took a cab with this guy, and he like made a wrong turn. This is in Boston. It's right near Boylston Street, in Boston.
Yeah.
And I lived in the North End. Dude, he makes a wrong turn. All of a sudden we're getting on the highway, like going out, like towards Cambridge, like Western Mass. And I was like, dude, he's on the ramp. I'm like, dude, where are you going? This is the wrong turn. And he goes, get out of my car. He just pulls over on the ramp. He goes, get out. And I go, dude, we're on the highway. I'm not getting out. Dude, we ended up fighting where he's like, he kept getting out of the car and he would like run. He would unlock the door and run around and I would like lock. I kept leaning over, like locking the doors on him. And like he would run it. And then he was like, okay, I'm calling the police. So he gets on the phone. He calls the police. And he's talking to the cops, and he's like, this guy won't get out of my car. And I'm behind. I'm like, we're on the highway. We're on the highway. I'm like screaming as if the cops are going to hear this.
It's like college-age Karen in the back of the
I go, okay, let's wait for the cops to come. We wait like 2 minutes. We're still, this whole time, just pulled over on the side of the highway. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not getting out, dude. And eventually, like 2 minutes, 3 minutes go by. He goes, okay, sir, I need to tell you something. That was not the police. He goes, that was my wife. Please get out of my car. And I was just like, fuck you. And I got out. I ended up getting out eventually because he was just sitting there. And I'm like, I got to go home.
Why couldn't he just drive you off the highway?
Dude, I ended up walking up the ramp. It was like, whatever, quarter mile, something like, not that far. But like I walked up and then eventually I walked to my buddy's place who I was taking a taxi from. And I was like, I got to sleep here. And I just stayed at his place.
Because it was so far from your house.
Yeah, not that far. Boston, I mean, comparatively, it's like going from, Fide to the West Village, but still, it's 2, 3 in the morning. You're not going to walk that.
Dude, my buddies used to abuse the cabs back in Boston every weekend. Every weekend, they would just get shit-faced.
Oh, I can't imagine
take the cabs from Boston to Needham and screw. And
Get
jump
out
out
of here. See, that's the opposite. That's where it's like, you don't do that.
Yeah.
But when you're 20, it's like there's the 20-year-old logic.
But it caught up to him, so the kid gets in a cab. Because they've been doing it. Dude, they did it so much. They were telling me, like, dude, just do it. They're like, encouraging. They're like, it's great. And
great.
I was like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Feel good.
I think I did actually do it once. But anyway, the guy, he got in a cab. Guy knew him. It was one of the guys he screwed. So what he does, he takes him to a housing project in Boston. And he lays on the horn. It's like 3 a.m. Lays on the horn for like 30 minutes, and then kicks him out in the housing project. And my buddy, I go, "What'd you do?" He goes, "Dude, I immediately ran like as fast as he could, and he goes, I just started hopping fences and just going."
Was there people outside?
Yeah, and I would have been better off there than him.
It's a very racist thing to do. It's like, because you're assuming you're like something's going to happen to this kid.
They're just going to beat the hell, and they probably would have.
Maybe. You never know. I guess, with the horn thing.
And in Boston, if you did something like that, like you get caught, like as the cops are, picking your bloody up, they're like, yeah, this is all your fault. What are you doing here? They don't even charge the other guys. They're like, yeah, that's fine.
Listen, I bet 3:30 in the morning, those guys probably would have come over and been like, hey, can we help you?
They actually
I'm sure they would have been super nice.
You never know.
I'm sure there would have been both. There would have been people that were like, hey, what? Especially if they would have known it was the taxi. Maybe you would have one good Samaritan that was like, hey, can you?
They definitely deserved it. I didn't feel
the
bad
most
for
help
them
you would get is that somebody would be like, hey, you have to get out of here. What are you doing here?
Yeah, it was kind of like that guy's, like Bruce Willis. What was that movie when he's like holding the sign in Harlem?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Die Hard 3.
Die Hard 3.
Yeah.
That was like his version of that.
Dude. Oh, my God.
But I have a story about how it was like, speaking of Good Samaritans, an accidental drunk hero. And it kind of fits in what we were talking about before.
I love it.
Where it was on that same block, that drug corner, and there was 2 bodegas. One was the bodega I wouldn't go into, and the other one was the one I would go into. But like some of the dudes from the other bodega were like hanging outside. They were trying to mug like this. It almost could have been like a comic, like glad, like a nerdy, like your quintessential looking like Poindexter nerd kind of guy. The guy was like 90 pounds. He's outside the bodega, and they're not saying give me your money, but they're doing the thing where it's like to you, the other guy said, you're gonna give me something? Hey, you got $1? Like that kind of stuff, right? It's like it's quasi robbing the guy. And I'm loaded, and I'm going to get like pretzels and soda from like the bodega at like 3 a.m. And I knew the guys because I would always go to this bodega, so I knew these guys.
Yeah.
And I'm walking by them, and I go, I'm drunk. I would never do this in a million years sober. And I go, guys, what are you doing? Stop! Come on, stop! Come on. And I just drunkenly walked into the bodega. I got I was so I might have been blacked out. Who the hell knows?
Oh my God.
But I remembered it, so I wasn't blacked out. And I walk and I get my stuff. I walk out, and that same kid like stops me. He goes, "Dude, thank you." he goes, "Oh my God, thank you." I go, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "Those guys were gonna take my money, and they didn't. They took off." But what it was like, I don't think it was a tough guy thing. It wasn't. I'm not tough by any means. I don't give off a tough vibe. I think it was a weird because they were younger. They were like probably 20 years old. These guys. I would always see them and they would say what's up to him. And I think because they knew me, and it was like this weird, like my uncle's out and like, come on, let's go, whatever it is. And I'm like, drunken hero,
Yo,
committing good acts only when you're loaded.
Holy shit! I thought you were gonna say you walked out and it's like, then they robbed me. I'm fucked.
No,
but
but I have, and I can tell you another drunk story.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Do you want to hear it? Or you guys
yeah, dude.
So
that's what the pod is.
Yeah,
we just chatting it up. I love it.
Okay, so my off the boat friend Jonathan Hederman, who's a crazy person. I used to hang out with him all the time. I love him, but he's used to be. Now he's married with a kid and all this. And we used to go to the bars in Midtown, and we went to a bar. I forget the name of the bar, but it was like Irish place, and we go in there and we're both kind of drunk already. So you're kind of like doing your own thing. We're probably trying to find girls and stuff. I'm probably 24 years old, 25 years old, whatever it is, right? And we're in the bar, and then I come back over, and I think he was like, "Come on, this sucks. Let's get out of there." And what he didn't tell me is he tried to talk to this girl, and she kind of like shut him down, and she was really shitty to him, and he was really drunk, right?
Yeah.
So we get by the door, and I'm like, this place kind of sucks, whatever. Let's go somewhere else. And he's like, wait, do me a favor. He goes, stand by the door and hold it open with your foot. He goes, just hold it open with your foot like you're looking for me inside the bar. And I go, why? He goes, please, just do it. And I'm like, fine. And I actually didn't know it was going to happen.
Okay.
And I do it, and I kind of hold the door. I hold the door open with my foot, and I'm looking in, like, past the bouncer and whoever else, like looking to see if I see my fake friend or whatever it is. He goes back in. Out of nowhere, he, like a bullet, darts by me, right? And then, like, right after him, like 4 meatheads just, like, run out right after him. So I'm like, I shouldn't have done this. And I just let the door go, and I'm like, do. I just start walking away around the corner.
No.
And so as it turns out, he walked over to that same girl, grabbed her full beer, and just dumped it on top of her head, right? Oh. Just an asshole move, right? And just dumps it on top. And then he just darts out of there, darts out of the place. And these guys chase right after him. And I'm like, well, they don't know I'm part of this. So I'm just like, doo. I'm going around the corner, right? Out of nowhere, 2 dudes. It must have been 2 of those dudes just come up in front of me because they must have chased him. They couldn't get him. They come up in front of me, and they're like, what's up, man? And I'm like, what's up? I'm thinking they don't know who I am.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's up? And they're like, where's your friend? And I'm like, what friend? I go, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. And then right at that moment, I notice like 2 other dudes come behind them. Right? And then one of the other guys is like on his phone. And this is how long ago. It was like T9 texting like his friend
got him.
feverishly, right?
Yeah.
Going like this. And then he's like, that was really messed up, man. Really messed up. And I go, I don't know what you're talking about, man. 2 more dudes come over from the bar. Probably the friend in the bar.
Yeah.
2 more dudes come over. Whatever it is. It's probably like at this point like 6 dudes. And they're like, it's messed up. They're texting all these people. That's really fucked up, man. Your friend left you. It's really messed up. He left you here to like deal with this. I go, what are you talking about, man? And then they start getting closer and closer. They're like, that dude you were with, we know you were with him. I go, I met him tonight, man. I know what you're talking about. I'm like, I met him tonight. I know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about. More, I would say at the end of it, like 10 dudes were like surrounding.
Holy shit.
At this point, out of the corner of my peripheral, I see right next to the group of dudes. I'm like trying to explain I go, I don't know who the guy was, man. What happened? And then they told me about the beer. And I go, I don't know what to tell you. I met this guy tonight. He seemed like a nice guy. I'm like, I'm stammering. And then this yellow taxi pulls up right next to them. And it's my friend Jonathan in the back. And he's texting me. I can feel my phone buzzing in my pocket. And I'm shutting it off with my finger while I'm trying to explain it. Because the minute I would have turned and looked in the taxi, they just would have pounced on the taxi. Yeah. So I look over, and the way it was set up, I could see him waving me and going, come on. Like come on, let's go, like this. And I'm like, no, the minute I turn and they see him, they're going to come. So I'm like, how do I get out of this? Like the taxi's still there. I go, how do I get out of this and get my ass not kicked? And I'm like, oh, I know what I can do. And I just decided to go into like berserker mode. I just went like this. Like it was all like lacrosse player type dudes, right? And I was very, very nervous. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry I did that to you. That's messed up, man. But I go, I'm sorry. And then I'm like, if I just go the opposite of that. So out of nowhere I go, and it was at this point it was building up. The tension was building up. I don't know. I go, I don't know what the fuck to tell you, man. I don't know the guy. I go, did I spill a beer on your girlfriend? Did I do it? I go, what the fuck, man? He goes, no, you didn't do it. And they kind of like were like realized I had nothing
this
to do
guy's
with
a
it.
lunatic.
And well, not even like I was gonna fight them, but more like I was like, what the fuck do you want me to do? You want me to go beat the guy myself? I'm saying all these rambling things, and they're like, no, it's just really messed up. He did it to my friend's girl, man. He's like, and I go, I don't know what to tell you. I didn't do it. Did I do it? Did I do it, bro? And I'm freaking out, and they go, no, and I go, I'm sorry it happened to you. I go, all right, good luck, and I just walked away, and they're like, all right, man, all right. Like, and I'm like, oh yeah, but I didn't. Once again, I don't think they thought I was gonna kick their ass.
Oh my God.
I just think they thought like, oh yeah, we can't beat up this kid for not doing anything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then I think I found my friend, like we texted
Holy
later on.
shit.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh my God,
Dude,
dude.
they were just like closing in, and I was like, oh, what if I just go nuts and just start screaming like they are, and then just to get out of this, and it worked. I couldn't believe it worked. I thought they were gonna be like they were just gonna punch me the minute I started yelling.
Dude,
Yeah.
that is wild.
Isn't that funny?
That's a great story, dude. Dude, I was on the edge of my seat, man. Oh, that's a good
Yeah,
one.
it's crazy being. I did get surrounded one time. This is not drinking. This is the only
Really?
not drinking at all.
Really?
I was at a cheerleading conference or something with my high school. I think, why'd we go? I don't know. It was some part. Maybe I definitely wasn't drinking for whatever reason. And I remember I was tying my shoe. I was smoking a butt. And I bent down to tie my shoe. And I looked up and my friend was gone.
Yeah.
Where the hell did he go? And I look around and I'm surrounded, circle, by like 30 guys or like 20 guys, football players, like most of them, and randos. Like,
Yeah.
I guess they were just looking for trouble. And then,
So for no reason they just surrounded.
yeah, so one guy came out, the big fat, the leader of the group. And I don't know why in my head I was like, well, dude, I got to fight this kid. You know, it's just, there's no out.
It's jail rules at this point.
Yeah, jail rules.
And I don't
down the
remember
biggest
what
things.
happened with him. But anyway, so then they tried to, what worked in my favor is they all tried to stomp me at once. And I just kept moving. I actually looked, I
Were you
felt
on
like,
the ground?
yeah, I felt like I was breakdancing. I didn't curl up. I was like moving, and there was so many of them, they weren't getting me. You know, because they were too chaotic. And then when I was getting up, one kid caught me with a kick to the rib cage.
Ooh.
But I was fine, you know, the drilling is pumping. So I start, they move on. Like the crew moves on, except for one kid didn't move on. So I'm chasing him down. And I chase him down, and I have him on the ground, and I have him by the neck, and I have my fist like ready to punch him. And this girl from my high school that I'm friends with comes out, and she just looks at me. He wasn't white, I'll just tell you that. And she just looks at me, and she goes, "Oh, Michael. Oh, my God." I'm like, I was so enraged. I was like, listen, bro, but what happened with those, she just thinks I'm starting trouble. What happens? Those kids, they caught up with the quarterback from another town. They broke a bunch of kids' arms. They like put kids in the hospital. So I was the
light
first
part of
one.
it.
Yeah.
So she thought you just were out committing hate
Yeah,
crimes?
she thinks I'm like a racist.
At a
Starting a
cheerleading
race
conference?
war.
Yeah. And I didn't even hit that kid. I don't think I hit that kid on the ground. It was all like instinct, you know,
Yeah.
running. And those are the days I look back, I'm like, yeah, all the times I got like hurt was when I was shit tanked. Because when I was shit tanked, you don't feel anything either. Like you take a punch, you're like, I could just take a couple of these
Oh, yeah.
until you wake up the next day.
Absolutely.
Jesus.
Jesus Christ. But it's so funny. People get it out of context. Like, no. I swear. That'd be so funny. I swear to God, I'm not racist.
No, I'm not hitting him because he's not white. I'm hitting him because he just beat the shit out of me.
It's also like, you would sound crazy. You're like, there was 10 other guys he was with. It just sounds made up.
It's a different world than nowadays. Like when I hear like kids get in trouble, like I remember asking like people at school, I'm like, yeah, they ever catch those guys? And like the football coaches would always be like, nah, they're good kids. Just forget them. I'm like, dude, they're not good kids. This isn't harm. Like
It's funny when people dismiss stuff
they
like
could
that.
care less what happened to me. Like they weren't like, were you all right? They were just like, get away. Like you don't. I remember the coach looking at me and I just tell he's like, this kid doesn't. He's not an athlete. Why is he here? Why are you even speaking to me?
Well, that was like at that apartment. Another story from that Kingsland Avenue. One time there was like there would be like gunshots coming from like the projects
that's
and
nuts.
and one time I was like, oh, we were outside. We're like, oh man, gunshots. And the same lady with the taxi line goes, that's probably just kids playing. And I'm like, there's gunshots, right? She's like, yeah, but you know, they're just like roughhousing. I don't know.
With 9mm.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, just a couple young hooligans having a good
they are.
time.
Some tomfoolery.
Oh my
man.
God. Dude.
That's like how they have fun in Russia. I remember my friend when he moved here, that kid,
Jake.
he'd be like, yeah, in Russia, what we do for fun is we'd get a bunch of bullets and just throw them into the fire. And I'm like, well, what would happen? He's like, yeah, well, sometimes, you know, Sometimes it didn't, people get hit, but not all the time. You're like, it's like Russian roulette with like a fistful of bullets. It's like, why?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing also, like, Matt, he just talked about matter of factly. Like, yeah, it was like hopscotch.
Everything with him was matter of fact. And actually, you were always an
comic?
idiot. No, he's a buddy of mine.
This is a guy we've talked about quite a bit on the podcast.
Okay.
The people who listen know Jake stories. I mean, there's countless ones
he was out of. This kid was a character. He went to jail for blowing up ATMs eventually. But
that's where we lost him.
Like anything, he would be doing something insane, and you would come up and ask him, and he would always look at you like you're the idiot. You'd be like, "What do you mean?" One
used
time
to light dumpsters on fire, blow up ATMs, light dumpsters on fire.
Did I tell you this one?
No.
So I come in one time. I was out of control, 20 years old, living in San Diego. He was out of control. We were both totally out of control. And I come in the bathroom. There's always something crazy going on. And he's taking a dump on his own boxers. And I just was like, I didn't even know what I was like shocked. He was so embarrassed. I remember looking at him. He goes, "Get the hell out, get the hell out." And what he had just gotten in a beef with these punk rock kids. Yeah. So he took his dumped boxers and he nailed it to their door. Dude, they got kicked out of the building for that. And they didn't know it was us. Oh man.
I had friends that used to like stink bombs were a big thing.
And
it was kind of harmless, but it was still, it could create a problem. And then also like time bombs with like M8, like elephant stick M80 type thing, where they would put a cigarette next to it.
Cigarette time? I know those, yeah.
Wow, dude.
But the stink bomb one time we were at this place called the Downtown, which is do you know the Downtown? It's like in Long Island. It's in like,
I don't know.
Not Rockville Center. It's like out in whatever it is, Hicksville or something.
Okay.
And we're there once, and my friend Mike, whose mom is from Ireland, he loves starting shit. Almost like you said when you were drunk, you love starting shit. Like he loves like pranks and like just being a shit stirrer.
Yeah.
And we're there once, and I knew it was them. I was not. They didn't tell me they were doing it. Out of nowhere, I just smelled a stink bomb, and I was like, "Oh my god, they didn't. We're gonna have to leave now." And then sure enough, most people in the place smelled it. And like a ground zero like just formed around where the stink bomb was, where people just were, you could see it perfectly. Yeah. It was just a circle. And everybody in the place smelled it except for this one bartender. He was just it was like going about his business, just like, do, whatever. Didn't smell it. Everybody in the place knew it. And just, I don't know what the deal with this guy was. And I walk over to my friend Mike and I go, "Did you guys drop a stink bomb?" Like under my breath. And he goes, wait, hold on. He's intently watching this one guy. And the guy's like, just pouring drinks and whatever. And then out of nowhere, the guy goes, "What the fuck?" And then my friend Mike, who's just a little shit, goes, yes. Like, got him. Like Dennis the Menace style. Got him.
Just had to get everyone in the bar. What a night. Oh.
Just complete blanketed.
We never did. We did that, I think. Our big thing was Long Island was throwing things at cars. That was our big thing. Snowballs, acorns.
Dirt bombs. You remember dirt bombs?
Dirt bombs, dude.
I never heard of it.
Yeah.
A clump of dirt that felt like a rock, but it would explode if you threw it because it was just dirt.
Dude, I remember I was a bad kid, but then I was a bad little kid from what I'm told. And then I was good when I was like, I would hang around with bad kids. One time when I was like 5 or 6, I have a distinct memory of this. Helping my dad in the driveway. We were like shoveling sand or something. We were doing something like in the garden, like dirt or whatever. And I'm like 5, 6, helping him out. I'm like, oh, look, it's, having fun, whatever. Dude, there's a car coming down the street. And I literally took a thing of sand and I just threw it in front of the car. I don't know why I did that.
I
the car like skids stop and they're like, "What?" My dad's like, "What the fuck was that?" And I was like, I don't know.
The answer to this weird, like, what would happen if I did this? There's like, you have such autonomy as a kid. You're like, I could just do this. Yeah, that's what I go. We did that with dirt bombs. Me and my sister, my younger sister, were in Jersey visiting my grandmother. We were just outside bored throwing dirt bombs at cars. And most of them just exploded in the car. But one of them we didn't realize was a rock and it hit it. And I think it might have dented the car. The guy stopped and then went to the door. He's like, "I'm going to have to speak to your grandma." And my aunt came out and then she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. We'll talk to them. We'll deal with it." And then the guy leaves.
You gotta fucking pay for it. What do you mean?
Well, I don't know if it actually damaged the car. It was like that kind of thing where it sounded like it did, but then it was fine. They must have checked the car out if I'm remembering it right. Oof. And my aunt, when the guy leaves, turns around, she goes, "Just be more careful," and then just goes back into the house. She didn't care. I was like, because me and my sister were expecting to get like in so much trouble.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Dude, we used to I think I've talked about this on the pod, but the person across the street from my house had a long driveway that was up on a hill. So we used to build like little snow forts at the top of that driveway, and we would launch them like over, and they would land like on the front hood as cars were driving by. Dude, it was terrible. So we would have strategy. You'd have someone who would throw straight down the driveway, so they would like boom, boom, hit the side of the car, and then they'd keep driving, and you'd time it so it would arc like the hood and the roof of the car, and it would be like boom, boom. Dude, the amount of people. You did it you didn't want people to stop, but I realize now you did it for people to stop.
Sure.
When they would skid, that adrenaline rush of like, we gotta go.
And you don't even know that's why. Like
No,
you're just like,
no
you think
idea.
you're just fine. And then you're like, oh no, it's like it's almost like watching a scary movie or something. Yeah.
Dude, we used to run, like one time we did it, and this guy, he chased us for like a good hour and a half. It's not a big neighborhood, but he kept doing circles. We're hiding in different people's backyards. We're trying to like cross the street to like get out in public to get to someone's home. Dude, and then he caught us on the street, and he was like, it was like 3 streets over, and he's like, hey, what are you guys doing? And we're like, just walking. We're walking to the park to go sledding. And he's like,
It's June.
Do you see any kids throwing snowballs? And we're like, no, sir. And he was like, all right, fucking okay. And he just like sped off, and we were like, holy shit.
He had no evidence.
Dude, no evidence.
You're walking with a cooler full of snowballs.
You ever hear
Talking about these
McNally's?
motherfuckers? Boom, boom.
Did McNally ever told you the
No.
story about his dad?
No.
Doing the same thing you're doing. Actually, I don't know if he was even doing it, but he was there. He's from South Boston. So someone, I think, was throwing snowballs at cars, and a car pulls up, grabs them, puts them in the car. Guess who it is?
Who?
Whitey Bulger.
No.
And
no, is that true?
yeah. And I don't know how he got out of it, but at that time, he knew, like he was from, it wasn't like a foolish kid. He's like, these guys could kill me easily. And somehow or another, I think one of them, I don't remember the story right, but they knew it wasn't him. They're like, it ain't him. Just throw him out, But like,
How old were they at that point?
he was a kid.
But how old is a kid? Like, was he a teenager?
Yeah, like 12.
Yeah, I don't
my
think they
God.
murder a kid. Well, maybe.
They probably
Maybe take a
wouldn't.
finger. Maybe like take like the tip of your pinky and be like, always remember me.
It would have been a big problem for your family too, if they wanted it to be.
Right, exactly. If it
But
was
like
that
as a
much.
kid and being from Boston, he would know like that is I'd rather get arrested.
And
You're
fuck
in
with
the
Whitey
back
Bulger,
of the
yeah.
car.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
what town? What town is that? Was that
South Boston. That's where they used to run. That was their headquarters.
God,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's crazy, dude. Holy shit.
That's like all the like Long Island have like all the mafia stuff. Like you'd hear all these stories.
I remember I went to St. Anthony, so I went to school with like a couple of those like the Gotti kids before
those
they were
on that reality show.
It was like right when it was coming out, dude. How embarrassing! Imagine being on like that show, growing up Gotti, and then having to go to high school.
It's also messed up. They had the show. It's like you realize who their dad was, right?
he was
like
just murdering people.
He also like one of the worst movies ever is that Gotti movie.
Oh, yeah, with
where they like
John Travolta?
They romanticize him murdering a guy for hitting his kid on his kid got hit on a bike. Gotti's kid, and in the movie they just make it like this dream sequence thing. It's like no, he killed the guy. Like the guy disappeared. Like the guy they murdered this guy.
God, yeah.
But there was like even by where a few of the stories I told were all in the area in Williamsburg. That's the Donnie Brasco area. Where
really?
the Graham Street stop is all where all the Donnie Brasco stuff happened.
Shit.
So there's a bar over there. I'm not going to say the name just in case I'm going to get murdered. But there's a bar apparently it's still like mafia run. And these comics I know had a story. They walked in there. And they ordered like 2 fancy drinks, and there was nobody in there. And the bartender was like not having it. Bartender brings over 2 buds and goes, "Drink these and get the fuck out of here."
Oh, that's so funny.
Wow.
That is a true mob. That is
Yeah,
something.
it's a
I've been in
front.
those
Yo.
similar situations. Did I tell you the time I went into same Southie, right? I go into this pizza shop where I have a constant problem. The guy who runs it, but I was used to that. These certain Italian guys wouldn't like you. And he just didn't like me. And I guess they forgot to lock the door.
Okay.
So I just go in. They also sold cigarettes, and I'm buying cigarettes. And the guy comes from the back to sell me the cigarettes, the guy I don't like, and he goes, "How the fuck did you get in here? This fucking kid, I don't fucking like this guy." And I'm like, the door was open. I wasn't in the mood that night. I'm like, yeah, your door was open, bro. It wasn't late at night. And then I look over at the card players, and this is like, I think I'd quit drinking. It's Weeks, Kevin Weeks, like Whitey's a guy, and I was like,
real?
Yeah, because that was his.
So you just grew up around all that?
No, but this is later years. But it's near me. I used to go to the beach
Holy
My
shit.
parents would bring me to Castle Island Beach. I remember no one was ever there, and I'm like, oh, we have the beach or something, because it's so disgusting.
Yeah.
But that was like their headquarters. They'd be at the top, you know.
Dude, that's hilarious.
And were they
Kevin
like,
Weeks,
and you were what,
Jesus.
like 17 or 16 or something?
No, I was. This
20?
was, dude. I was doing comedy at the time.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah, this was in Boston. Like,
This is like 10 years ago.
yeah, Weeks did like 3 years.
Yeah.
He's like, I swear I never killed anybody. I'm like, all right, sure, okay.
That's amazing.
A friend of mine became friends with him after he got out.
All those guys who did that, you know, remember they used to say crime didn't pay. Like when you look at them, you're like, it was worth it.
it kinda
They
paid.
did like they did 3 years in like easy prison time.
Crazy.
And then what? Now they're doing all these TV shows and shit.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of those guys had the guys I'm talking about. I think those guys I think they had their cash. Like they were.
They didn't go after their money.
1,000%.
Well, they probably went after what they
Yeah.
could, but they had it all stacked in walls
Dude,
and
when you make money that big, the goal is to make so much money that when you eventually get caught, is once you get out, you have enough money to take care of yourself where you don't have to go back to the criminal life. Like that's the whole thing.
Is
They
that what
know
it is?
how to. They know
what's
how
so
to.
funny? I was about to
stash
make fun of you
money
for this,
like that.
but you do law. Like I was about to be like, all right, Dylan, you know the criminal underworld, and then I'm like, oh, actually, you might know something about.
Yeah, I
this.
was a prosecutor for
I know,
5
I know,
years.
I know, I
Like,
know.
and this is
My
bigger
first
than that,
inclination was to go, shut up, and I'm like, oh shit, actually, yeah, I'll take your word for it.
but yeah, but that is the thing. Is like there are ways that they can do it where they hide money, and we're talking like big time drug dealers, not the guys that are
No,
getting
like the
hit on
higher
street.
ups, yeah, because they go
The
after all their
mafia,
assets, right?
Yeah. But you have like bank accounts that are untraceable, offshore, whatever. Different stash houses, whatever.
I'll tell you this. I came to a realization that you try to learn about yourself, and I realized that it could be anything mafia, and I will sit down and watch it for 18 hours straight. Like if something's mafia, a movie, a TV, a doc, anything, I'll hear the same names over and over again, the same stories, and I'm totally, I don't care. I'm just a mafia enthusiast. I'm just so into it. It's crazy.
How many guys do you think there are in the world? I've seen so many of them that are guys who are not in the mob. They've never been in the mob, but they're like delusional.
Well, that was like in Long
So
Island.
you know,
many
they always tell, they're like, you know who I am?
Yeah.
That
There's always the
Long
guys-
Island is filled with those.
Yeah. That's what I love
Filled
those
with them.
characters.
They call them blowhards. They're
Yeah,
those
yeah.
guys who are like they're the ones who or talk like that or talk about the mob. I feel like, and I didn't, Franklin Square was right there, which was very like Italian.
Yeah.
And you hear a lot of the kids would be like, you know who my father is, and and then you'd be like, oh, if your dad's talking about it, there's probably not. It's not happening. No. He's not. My dad once would go to OT. My dad bet on horses a lot, but he would not like where we were out on the street kind of betting on horses. It was just more of a hobby.
Okay.
Well, we probably would have had a little bit more money. Anyway, so he's at OTB one time, and it's next to the soccer club that's like the quote unquote mafia soccer club in that town. And he goes over to make a bet, but his paper's still there. And he comes back over, and at that time I'm coming in to pick him up, and we're walking back to his spot, and some guy's in his spot, and he goes, "That's my spot. You're in my spot." To the guy, it's some like mafia type guy, and the guy goes, he goes, "Fuck you, get out of here. What are you gonna do? Whatever it is." And he's with a couple of the guys, and my dad goes, "Fuck you." And then one of the other guys goes, "Kick his ass, Sonny." And my dad goes, "Sonny? Your fucking name is Sonny?" And then they got furious. And I'm like, "Come on, let's go." I just grabbed him and we got in the car.
Oh, shit.
Holy shit.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. All right, dude. We just hit an hour. So that's typically what we do. Dude, that flew by.
I flew
You
by.
feeling good?
I feel fantastic.
All right, dude. Yeah,
And the candles are still lit. Not to go to another that well again, but
They're still lit. They're still burning, baby. You can smell it. It smells nice in here, not musky. I asked Jack when Jack came in, I go, "How does it smell in here?" He goes, "Like man musk." And I go, "All right, dude, I got to light a candle."
Yeah, we're looking for sponsors, so if you're a candle company, we'll put it right here on the wall.
Maybe Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina candles
Oh,
for,
I would
for
love
your
that.
man cave
Oh,
here.
yeah, dude. All right. Dude, let them know where they can find you.
Yes, you can find me at Shawnee Time on Instagram and Twitter. I have a podcast called The Brand New Jerks with your pal, Ray Zawadny, very funny comedian. And you can look. SeanDonnellyComedy.com is my website, and you can check out all the dates there and on my Instagram and stuff like that.
Hell yeah, dude. Go follow him, Michael.
Mike T. Kerrigan, Instagram.
Dylan Krasinski on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, and Troublemakers on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. If you're listening again, Spotify, Apple Pods, give us a 5-star rating. Leave a comment if you like, saying how fun the pod is and how much you like it. It really helps the algorithm. Go follow Sean, and thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you next week, baby. Good night.
Yeah.